Hello and welcome to Burning Questions. We can still hear Sam Stewart in the background. He's been doing some real hard work today to get Clayton Tonkin set up, and Andy's been waiting in the car so long he's overheated. He was taking a drink of his Mount Franklin. It's been a fractured start to Burning Questions, but we're ready to roll now. And we should mention our sponsors. Whether you're celebrating a win or shoveling in the stables, you want your staff to look their very best, and you do that with uniforms from Hip Pocket Workwear and Safety. They have you covered for clothing, protective equipment, and plenty more. Check out hippocketworkwear.com.au. First question of the Burning Questions. We've been delayed more than the Miracle Mile here, but the first question is, just what type of Jinping freak is this Chinese whisper? Now, I was messaging people I haven't spoken to in 20 years after watching a couple of the replays from New Zealand, Andy. I think he's a freak. Is he a freak? Just say he's a freak.
I think he's jumping the gun a little bit. He's only had the 19 starts with 6 wins and about won a trial going about 2-3. So, again, no, he's a quality horse. He's got really high speed, and I'm sure he's going to have a really good future here, and hopefully he's a future Group 1 winner. But, yeah, he's still got to earn his status yet, I think.
So apparently I'm going too far, and meanwhile he's turning up in a moderate race, and he's going to be a Group 1 winner. So who's going too far now? And I know he went 2-3 in the trial, but you told me what's he got home in 57 and change at the trials, and you told me there was actually a cyclone going on at Melton.
Yeah, no, it was quite windy. No, again, no, he is a quality horse, and we expect a great deal from him. And, yeah, he's probably overhyped a little bit for a horse that hasn't raced yet, but we'll see what happens. But I expect him to front up on Saturday night and win.
I'm the only one. I'm overhyping him. Clayton, great to have you with us, brother. I don't know how much research you've done on this one, Chinese Whisper, but I can guarantee you it looks pretty good.
Yeah, no, I haven't done any research, but the way Andy's smiling as he talks about the horse, I think he's a dead set giveaway of what he thinks of it. So I think the horse must have a pretty bright future.
What do you reckon, Skeeter? I know that, you know, I've muddied the waters here, text messaging you saying, oh, I tell you what, I'd go back and have a look at this thing while you're trying to prepare for International Women's Day at Shepparton. But I'm sure you've had a chance to go back and have a look now, and we're all of a similar opinion, I think.
Yeah, completely agree, Bon. He's over here on a pretty good mark, obviously 75. So it looks a really good race for him to start his campaign on Saturday night. And he's, like Andy said, he just looks like he's got so much speed. So exciting to add a bit more depth to the trotting ranks over here. And he looks a very nice horse.
75, is that what that? No, I've already revealed too much about money changing hands already today. So I think I might pull up there, go back to the polls. Question 2 of the Burning Questions is brought to you by the Fresh Connection. They export Australian fresh fruit to more than 35 countries. Would you believe? Damien Glengarry is their export manager, and by all reports, he does a magnificent job. The Fresh Connection specialise in citrus, table grapes, cherries, and mangoes. Freshconnection.com.au. Second question of the Burning Questions. Once again to you, Andy, first. Will Vacation run like Forrest Gump to try and break the jet? Are you just thinking we're just going to go to the front and keep rolling to make life harder? What are the initial thoughts going into the La Cucaracha?
Yeah, obviously, first thing is to try and lead, and she has got really good gate speed, and you expect that she will find the top. Again, even though it's a small full of quality, 6 horses all in really good form. We know how good I'm Ready Jet is. Out of Barron Crescent was clearly too good for us last start off a cold sit. So, again, it'll be totally up to Kate. Probably last start visually probably didn't look that great, but you have a horse like Wobbly that gets a drop on your back around the home turn and doesn't get within 2 metres of you. You've still gone quite well. So, again, she's one that we think's a quality mare and going to be hard up against these quality fillies, quality mares she's racing against. But I think in front she's going to be pretty hard to beat.
It was a tough when you have it one out in the last leg of the quaddie for a decent collect. It was a hard watch. I was sort of leaning the TV like this, just trying to get her over the line, but she did the job. I think it's going to be an interesting start there. Clayton, have we asked you previously what your favourite fruit is? Not your favourite protein powder flavour, but your favourite fruit.
Yeah, I don't know. Probably raspberries.
We haven't had a raspberry before.
Yeah.
We've now got a raspberry on the list. We've had a couple of mangoes. What do you reckon's going to happen here? Vacation Hill to me seems like the kind of horse that needs to build through her gears in that feature mare's trot. Or is I'm Ready Jet just going to be too classy for him?
I think I'm Ready Jet will be too classy for it myself, being such a small field, and it's going to be close enough to it. I know Andy's horse has got the draw, and it looks like a quality horse as well. But I think I'm Ready Jet on a day is, as good as any trotter going around. And the small field's going to be in its favour because you know yourself, even if Andy's horse runs, it's going to be close enough to to put pressure on it from the half sort of thing. So I think it personally. I just think that the other horse will have too much class for it.
You look even bigger and more intimidated with the jacket on, doesn't he? I'm actually intimidated across. Where he looks big. The raspberries will do that for you. Skeeter.
Yeah, look, I think they're not going to be walking. I think Kate will be finding the top and running along from there. Obviously, trying to make life as hard as possible for Ready Jet, but she hasn't had stacks go right recently. Obviously, last start and then through the Great Southern Star Series as well on Ready Jet. But she's just racing in terrific form. She's been there and done that. So, probably siding with her this week. I've obviously got a huge opinion, as the team do, of Vacation Hill, but I just think, from what she's done and how she's racing at the moment, Ready Jet's probably the one to beat.
I reckon another one might bomb both of them, but I'll talk about that a little bit later. Question 3 of the burning questions brought to you by Australian Paints and Gold. Go to apgold.com.au. That's all they've got. Apparently, that's all you've got to do. It's easy. Can the runners Burns has in recover from their journeys? Clayton, you've travelled horses before, going up and back, particularly with the inclement precipitating conditions in Sydney. Is it easy just to be able to pop back and race straight after you've been up there in those conditions when you're travelling horses or not?
I personally don't like it myself because the horses seem to get pretty dehydrated on the trips and all that sort of stuff. So it's one of them things, like, I know I've just got like a wildfire home and he's tucked up a fair bit and he sort of needs a light week. But in saying that, I don't know how their horses travelled. So obviously they must have thought they travelled well for them to bring them back and back them up so quick. In saying that, I think they're both quality horses. So I'm sure that they'll acquit themselves well. But it's more to the eye of the beholder, I suppose. When you see them come home, like I know we travel them a fair bit, and like Nikkita, when she got home, she needed a light week and she wasn't right. And it's just it's whatever he comes up with, I suppose.
Have you ever had one, you would have, that just hates going away? So you are my sunshine when he crosses the state border, he starts to feel sick, I reckon. And then he sees the Harbour Bridge and he just goes, I just don't want to be here. He just deteriorates so badly up there. Have you had one like that you just like, I can't tell why, but you just hate going a certain place?
Yeah, some horses don't travel well. Like I say, it's it's one of them things where you've got to try to keep them hydrated and all that sort of stuff, because yourself, you travel a long way and they can lose a lot of weight just in the trip. So it's one of them things where if your horse doesn't drink well or doesn't settle in well, it can be taxing on.
I'm pretty dehydrated most of the time, unfortunately, Andy. I was glad to see you have a little sip of your Mount Franklin before we got going here. Tornado Valley, famously, you just wouldn't go anywhere with him. He told you, I ain't leaving. I ain't leaving. What do you reckon about these two, Celestio Matuka and You Are My Sunshine? Celestio Matuka has at least gone well. I know You Are My Sunshine is going to be happy to be home, but the fact that it just didn't go well up there worries me a bit.
Yeah, no, it's a little bit concerned. He left here in really good form, You Are My Sunshine, and his 2 runs at Menangle were well below par. And, Celestio Matuka, he's done an amazing job. He won the first 2-year-old race last season and he's still going. A little bit of Clayton, Clayton's probably travelled a fair bit more than me lately, and especially with colts. And the few colts that I've had over the years, they take a while to settle into new surroundings. They like being at home, so they can sort of carry on a little bit. So I think it's more difficult travelling with colts and bringing them back as well. So I'd be a little bit concerned with both of them going into this race meeting. But again, obviously, Damien, happy enough for them both to be there. But from a punting perspective, I probably wouldn't be back in either of them.
We're just watching you in the car this week because if anybody caught last week, Nikkita Ross had a ghost or a spirit come across the car last week. So just watch over your shoulder, Andy. Skeeter, what are your thoughts on these two runners?
Yeah, I'm staying well clear of the car this week, Bon. Yeah, I'm probably in agreement with everyone else, especially You Are My Sunshine. Probably didn't look at his best up in Sydney, and only a week later can he come up and just win this race. I wouldn't be probably backing either of them with a whole heap of confidence, because they both meet good fields as well. You Are My Sunshine has Major Roll and Hool in the end, who've both come out of a really good race last week. And even Celestio Matuka, you've got Captain Rival first up from a spell and looked to trial pretty well, and Commander Buzz, who's shown plenty of ability as well. So neither of them get easy races. Plus that travel, it always is a little bit of a question mark.
How good's Captain Rival before we move on, Clayton?
Yeah, no, he seems pretty forward. He's come back in good order, and I thought probably at the end of it last season he really sort of started to hit his straps, and I always thought he was going to be a better 3-year-old. So I think he'll definitely give him something to chase.
Scotty, do you think I need an auto cue now? You put a bit of paper up that just said "Go Dancing" on it. Look, am I letting you down? Should I be reading out different words? What are you after?
The reflection's coming straight in the window and hitting me in the face. I can't see.
It's that spirit again.
Yeah.
You need to be exercised. We'll get the priest to your house pretty soon. Question 4 of the burning questions is brought to us by Felvo Fruits. They're specialists not in raspberries, but in table grapes. Since the 1960s, Michael and Josie Felvo, they're keeping the tradition going, and everyone loves their grapes. Keep an eye out for Felvo Fruits. You know you'll love them. Clayton, is Go Dancing a ballroom standard or a flat track bully? The win last start was very good, but he couldn't lose that race. Is he a good horse?
I think he's a really nice horse. Can run good sectionals and all that sort of stuff. He probably lives in the shadow, of all our other horses like Acneo and all that. He's not up to them. He can follow good speed in that, but I'm sure he can win his fair share of races without being any superstar.
Does that situation, I mean, he's really only got, I think, one major rival on Saturday night. He'll be able to overcome that little imposition of being the only horse off the second row?
I think that'll suit him, to be honest. I'm not one for... I don't know about him working off the gate. So, against the better ones like Acneo and that, he's got to be driven with one run, but I'm sure if we need to, we can put him in the race Saturday night.
Unlike you, Andy, Clayton's not declaring his horses are going to be Group 1 standard, but that's... what are your thoughts on Go Dancing? I think he'll find a way to win.
Yeah, no, as Clayton said, he's a really nice horse and lives in the shadow of a lot of his better stable mates, and he's going to have a really good career himself. He's just sort of started off his Metro career and got a nice soft win last week. I think his only danger is probably Kiss Me Elvis. If it sort of found the top the way it went last week, going to be pretty hard to beat. Mark Pitt was down on both of them. Did you twist his arm, Clayton, to drive it, or did he choose to drive yours over Kiss Me Elvis anyway?
No, he chose mine, so it was it was one of them things where, I think I give him plenty of drive, so he knows where to stick that.
Not as Potts, no. But again, I think it'll be a 2-horse race. It just depends what Duke of Dundee has got pretty good gate speed. Whether it lets Kiss Me Elvis go, but I think it's a 2-horse race, and so they'll both be finding at the finish. But I have no firm opinion.
If Clayton literally twisted Pitty's arm, he'd be having it reconnected at the shoulder and at the local hospital. Don't ever touch his arm, Clayton. Don't even touch it. Don't even give him a Chinese burn. See, link there. Skeeter, what are your thoughts on Go Dancing and the horse known as Kiss Melvis?
Yeah, look, I probably haven't got a stack more to add because I think, the horse has got really good speed. We've obviously seen him go through so many strong races as a 3-year-old and just be below the stablemates and the really top ones. But he found a really good race last time, and I think this one is another really good race for him. He's obviously above average, albeit just below the top ones. So definitely think this is a really good race and he should be winning.
All right, we're going to do another Miracle Mile question this week and probably again next week. Just wait for another flood or a cyclone or a hurricane up there. Strange placement angle. Does the extra week make the mile a slightly different race, Clayton? I feel like you being about half an hour late for this is you've actually performed well with a little bit of a freshen up heading into this burning questions. Is it going to hurt him? Because he's the one that hasn't raced for the longest.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a little bit of a tricky one this week. I think everyone's in the same boat a little bit where we're our preparation's been really jagged. So he had a good hit out with Expensive Ego and Bondi Lockdown on the Sunday, so they had a pretty good blow. But this week has been horrendous up there, and early in the week we're staying at Luke's and we couldn't get on the track, and then we carted the horses out to Menangle on the Wednesday, and they got a good hit out again. But it's been a real staggered week, so it's going to be interesting for not just my horse for the whole the whole field. It's whoever's probably hasn't missed the work.
Yeah, I think if you weren't in a public forum here, I think you would have used a different word than jagged. I think another word you might have used for the preparation. Andy, we spoke off air briefly. You don't think it'll make a great difference? Maybe a slight advantage to those horses that were only going to have a week off going into the Miracle Mile last week.
Yeah, as Clayton said, a lot of people's work has been compromised this week, so we don't really know what type of work a lot of the trainers have been able to get into their horses. Some stables been flooded out, and Luke's place, his tracks are underwater, and other horses as well. So, but again, they're all up and going, they're all pretty well fit. So, yeah, I don't think it'll make too much difference in the end, but it might affect one or two horses, but you won't know until the race is on. But if everyone's been able to get the work into that one or two, I don't think it will make too much difference going into this week.
Now, Andy, you normally like to give our new guests a little bit of advice when they come on, just to improve them. It's a generous thing to do. Anything for Clayton today or nothing?
Well, I can't believe they've got flies in Ballarat. I don't know how they live there. It's been mosquito.
Skeeter, what do you reckon about? I think you can intuitively maybe think it'll help some and won't, it'll hurt others, but it might not make any difference at all, really. The draw's the same, the race is the same, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't think it's going to make a huge difference personally, Bon. Obviously, everyone's got to deal with the interruption in their own way. But yeah, the one that probably loses out is Macdan, obviously a month between runs now. But it could benefit the horses that had tough runs in the sprints as well. They now had a fortnight to get over it. So that's probably the advantage and disadvantage for a couple. But overall, I don't think it's going to decide the race. I think the best horse is probably going to win, or the best horse with the best run on the night. I don't think it's going to be a deal breaker.
Now, we're not going to get to hear your dulcet tones on the Friday form panel because you're off for a long weekend of wild partying. So we need to hear your best bet, please, now.
Well, it is a wedding, not a wild party, but it could be both.
We'll see how it goes.
Look, I think it looks a really good race for Sir Letic this week in race 3. I think a few horses will want to be going forward, and Sir Letic can just use his speed at the finish. He obviously was beaten last week into 4th, but a lot of those horses out wide had their momentum up, and he had to wait for the sprint lane and ran home pretty well. I originally was probably thought he was a little bit disappointing, but watching it back, I think he went as well as he could. So I think it looks a good race for him on Saturday.
You got a best for us, please, Clayton?
It's only going to be short. It's Go Dancing.
Yeah, I was going to tip it, and then I thought it might come up a little bit too short. But Andy?
Yeah, I'll go head-to-head with you because I'm pretty sure I know who your best is going to be, so I'll go.
I'll go first. We let you go last. But
I'll go with Vacation Hill and see if you can trump me.
Well, I'm going Aldebaran Crescent. I have had a very checkered run trying to find winners on the burning questions over the journey, but I had a good week last week by following you in, Andy. So I'm going. I think Aldebaran Crescent can run out with Vacation Hill, get in behind it. I'm Ready Jet puts a bit of pressure on. Bing Bang Boom at a little bit of a price, $8.50 for Aldebaran Crescent. I'm normally trying to tip $1.40 chances, and they generally get beaten, unfortunately. So it's good to be back. There's some of the fans. Oh, good to see you. Clayton, thanks very much for coming on. I don't know whether you've located somewhere. I've left a pink blazer. If you happen to see it anywhere, if you know anywhere it might be, we don't even have to talk about it. You don't have to admit it's been kept hostage. But just let me know somehow, and I'll see if I can get that back, if that's all right, brother.
No dramas, mate.
Great to have you on, mate. And you can give Sam his phone back. Sam Stewart, of course, telling me that he's still better looking than me despite no product in the hair. But I'd probably have to agree, but I still think a little bit of product wouldn't hurt. Well done, Andy. You can take the tarpaulin off the car now. It looks like there's some sort of tarp over your car, but you can take that off and drive home now. Appreciate your thoughts.
Thanks, guys.
And well done, Skeeter. Enjoy your wedding, wild partying weekend, whatever it might be. That's been Burning Questions. We hope you've enjoyed. We'll be back next week.